Now, another point is that thousands of Israelis were reported to have been at the World Trade Center that day. This is a Jerusalem Post article, and it says that the Foreign Ministry in Jerusalem has so far received the names of 4,000 Israelis believed to have been in the area of the World Trade Center and the Pentagon at the time of the attack. Now, that's how many people called in, how many families called in and said, I'm worried about Shlomo, I'm worried about this guy, I'm worried about that guy, my son is there, my husband's there. Well, what happened, of those 4,000 people who were supposedly there, only 3 or 4 died. 3 or 4 Israelis died in the whole operation. Well, how did they avoid harm? Well, what clearly happened also is that there was an instant messaging service called Odigo, an Israeli instant messaging service, that sent out a warning 2 hours before 9/11 happened, warning people not to go to the World Trade Center that day because there would be a catastrophe there. And the vice president of the company said that the prediction, the time, was exact to the minute. So 8:45, right? And the message was sent out on a platform that you could receive through your BlackBerry or your BlueBerry or your cell phone or your internet, whatever. And so all platforms. But it was sent out in Hebrew, and it was sent out using a buddy system where you could say, I'm going to send this message to all Israelis on the system who obviously speak Hebrew, boom, boom, boom. And by choosing those parameters, everybody on that whole network who shared Odigo got the message. And they didn't go to work. They didn't go to the World Trade Center that day. They did something else. Like Larry Silverstein, they went to the doctor. Like Al Franken, they stayed and visited their mom. Some other guy, they went water skiing. Did anything else, but didn't go to work that day.
I was home. And the only reason I wasn't where I was every morning, subsequent to the 26th day of July, my mornings were spent usually at a breakfast meeting at Windows, an 8 o'clock breakfast meeting, Windows, the top of it, and then going down to visit with my tenants, my new tenants, at the Trade Center, getting to know them, understanding their problems and so forth, ascertaining how we could service their needs better, which is one of the first things you do when you acquire a property. Begin to meet your tenants and start talking with them. And so my mornings were spent at the Trade Center, and then by noon I was back uptown. And so that particular morning, because I have light-colored hair and fair skin, and I'm an annuity to the dermatologist, my wife, God bless her, had made an appointment for me at the doctor. And I remember dressing to go to the doctor. I'm finally saying to my wife, I said, sweetheart, I've got so much to do downtown. I've got to cancel this. I've got to go downtown. And she said, you're not going to cancel this appointment. You're going to the dermatologist. And, having been married now to the same woman for 46 years, you get this sense of determination on occasion, their voices. And I said, okay, yes, dear, I'll go. And then just minutes later, received a telephone call to turn on a television set and witnessed this horrendous circumstance. The first plane hitting, and then the second plane hitting. Of course, with the second hit, it became obvious that this was terrorism. But thereafter was absolute hell because so many of our people were down there. We were in occupancy, temporary occupancy, of the 88th floor of the North Tower prior to moving permanently into the 91st floor of the North Tower. And so my children, 2 of my children, Roger and Lisa, both work with me. They were on their way to work at 9 o'clock. Many others, about 100 people with us on their way to work. And as it turns out, had the plane struck 15 minutes later, our firm would have been decimated. As it is, we lost 4 of our people, 2 of whom I had hired just a few weeks prior to that. And there are 6 children among them. And it was a horrendous experience.